public forum this morning. I'd like to welcome the Eco Action Nursery Trust, and we have Kate Rivers to speak to us. We're going to speak about the progress that they've made planting native forest in the red zone. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming in.
Righty, I'll start us off. Hi there, I'm Ben Donaldson from Christ College.
Lovely.
And on behalf of Eco Action Nursery, we'd just like to thank you, Christchurch City Council, for helping us so we can support our community.
Awesome, kia ora. I'm Jess, I go to Rangiruru. Sorry. So students from 26 schools and 2 community groups pot on and then plant out eco-sourced native trees into the red zone. In 2023, the Trust organised 25,000 natives to be planted by students and their families.
Good morning, I'm Silas Freeman from Shirley Boys High School. Eco Action arranges land to plant on from Christchurch City Council parks at QE2 and Atlanta Street, and if you can see in the picture, that's students in the community collaborating to plant and maintain the site.
Hello, I'm Eliza. I'm from Rangiruru Girls School. Successful history of planting the QE2 Adventure Native Trail. Successes, we've had ribbonwood that have grown to 3.5 metres tall, the coprosma are fruiting, flax are flowering, and the bird habitat's returning.
Hello guys, I'm Ethan Baker from Shirley Boys. Regarding the native plants that we have grown in our schools, in 2022 we planted 18,000 trees. This year in 2023 we have planted 30,000, and it is projected that next year in 2024 we will plant as of 64,000 plants.
Hi, I'm Gemma from St Margaret's College. The sponsors involved in this project include CLS Canterbury Landscapes, CCC, Department of Corrections, EnviroWaste, Isaacs Construction, Shirley Boys High School, Christ College, Rangiruru and St Margaret's College, New Brighton Volunteer Fire Brigade and school partners, where there is a list on the left side of the slide.
Hi, I'm Bella from St Margaret's, and this is our financial summary. So, what value does Eco Action provide? Grant funding support is leveraged by tenfold by in-kind support from volunteers. Students and planners like myself report increased feelings of worth and well-being from being involved.
Hi, I'm Rory. I'm from Christchurch Girls High School. What does the Eco Action program provide to our youth and community? Gaining practical horticultural skills, building community involvement and building participation, building a sense of place and improving amenity and wildlife habitat, improving our quality of life in Ōtautahi Christchurch, tackling the climate emergency through plant sequestering greenhouse gases, improving personal mental health and improving wellbeing.
So, thank you very much for listening to our presentation. My name is David Newton. I'm a teacher at Shirley Boys, but also the chair of Eco Action Nursery Trust. If you had any questions for the students, trying to garner their impressions of what they get out of our nursery trust, that'd be fantastic. That is the end of our presentations.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from some of you what you get out of the of your participation, because I think it's absolutely amazing. Eco action instead of just talk, that's incredible. So I'd love to hear from one or two of you.
Yeah, so for me, one of the main things, I've been doing this for 3 years, and it's going back to the sites that we planted out 3 years ago and seeing all of the growth and just seeing all of the change. It really, I feel like it boosts my kind of want and need to be sustainable and make changes around me.
Yeah, I'd say definitely seeing what you've done when you go out there is pretty impressive. And also the sense of community that's out there, all the people you meet and just the chats you have while planting the tree and everything like that. It's pretty great.
Obviously, it's you guys are going to be future leaders as you kind of plan your careers. How is this going to affect those careers that you're looking at? I'm just, you guys obviously have far more knowledge than we did when we were younger, and so.
I think that's a great question. I think for me, this has really affected my career choices in terms of the careers that are going to be prominent in the future. Obviously being affected by climate change and being affected by environment issues. And I think for me, my career choices have definitely been swaying more towards environmental action and environmental policies and things like that, because I've grown a great passion through doing eco action for the environment. So it's definitely build a future.
Luckily, we have very good value trees, and some of the ground is not particularly well suited for trees, and so the survival rate is variable from 95% on good ground to people's driveway where it's almost impossible to grow anything. So it all depends on what you strike when you plant a tree, and we just don't know until we get the blocks and we get them. It is the red zone. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, is the microphone working?
No, it's not. Sorry, Tyler. It's really encouraging to see that some of them are already reaching 3.5 metres, and that's into the canopy area now, and that's what we really need in Aotearoa. So I just want to congratulate you all on the fantastic job that you're doing and getting out there and doing something tangible. And as you say, you're also reaping the reward for that. So you're doing something for the whole city, but as well as for yourself. So thank you for everything that you're doing. And thank you for coming in and updating us. Awesome. Oh, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome Robina Dobby. Robina is going to talk about the climate from a meteorological observer. This will be interesting. Welcome, Robbie.
Hello. Right. Good morning, everyone. All right. First of all, climate. Climate is the average long-term pattern of weather in a particular area. When it comes to Christchurch, I think I'm qualified to speak on this. I was a meteorological observer from back in the 70s. I retrained in meteorology when I was in air traffic control. I'm an early adopter of technology and a data analyst and researcher, and I've also vast experience in business. When it comes to climate change, the global warming sort of made me question a few things. And then one day I was walking down the beach and I looked up at the clouds and I thought those clouds are unnatural. The position that they were in the sky, the type of cloud just didn't match. So I decided that I was going to research what was actually going on with climate change. I've put together my own set of data from results from NIWA, and I actually went into NIWA and talked to them about their sunshine recordings and got their data from 2019 and had a look at it. It's funny because a few days after I did that, they removed the sunshine readings off all the Met Service websites. That's for the history side of things, for the data. Then one of the big things I want to point out to you is the facts versus modelling. There's real-time data sets that have been put together on satellites, from satellites and weather balloons. This is real data. They haven't been used by the IPCC. This is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. What the Intergovernmental Panel have decided to do was to use computers and create modelling. Modelling is based on assumptions. Assumptions can be wrong, and it only takes one assumption for the whole modelling to be incorrect. And you can see in the data in that graph up there, the red line's the modelling, the blue and the green are the actuals, showing that there's a lot higher readings going on in the modelling. Along with that, one of the IPC scientists pointed out that there's media bias going on. This is one of the guys who is for climate change. He pointed out that the media were dramatising the extremes that they had. There's NIWA data that's missing, and the IPCC is based on flawed data. How I know this is I found this research when I was researching a PhD done by John McLean in 2018, and he found that this was the first ever audit that was done on what they call the HADCRUT4 data. Does anybody know, has anybody heard of the HADCRUT4 data? This is the base data for the climate change predictions that have been done. This data cannot be trusted, and yet it's being used to justify demands for trillions of dollars to be spent combating climate change. This is globally, and it's the basis for the Paris Climate Accord. McLean put it down that there's 53 people in behind this whole IPCC data modelling that's been going on. And I'll read a quote here. Little known to the public is the fact that most of the scientists involved with the IPCC do not agree that global warming is occurring. Its findings have been consistently misrepresented and or publicised with each succeeding report. This document here shows 1,500 people, scientists, who have signed saying that this isn't happening. That it's not a climate emergency. Sure, there's climate changing going on, got no doubts about that. One quote I'd like to also make to you is one from the IPCC official Otmar Edenhofer, speaking in November 2010. He advised that one has to free oneself from the illusion that international climate policy is environmental policy. Instead, climate change policy is about how we redistribute de facto the world's wealth. You can be making substantial costs. You can laugh at this. This is serious, Pauline.
Sorry, no, I'm not. Something completely
Who are
off
the
topic.
experts you are listening to? I have actually gone through and looked at who some of these people are that are writing these papers, and I have great questions about it. All I'm asking is for an hour of your time to actually look at this whole situation in a bit more depth, because I have got a lot more data than this to support what I'm saying. If you've got any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Robbie. Well, there's 11 seconds. Councillor Scandrett, just
Yeah.
one quick question.
If we take climate change and put it to the side, the other side of this is ongoing pollution, and it's both in the air, but also packaging and the plastics, etc. So whatever we do to decrease what we're doing now and improve what we're doing has to help the planet in an overall way, surely. Well,
that's pretty simplified.
Well, it's a fact, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely things that need to be done.
Yep.
But the climate emergency that we're talking about and this hysteria that's going on about it is just beyond ridiculous.
So thank you.
And
Robbie.
there's a lot of things I could be talking to on this to give you a more balanced view, and I think you need a more balanced view going forward.
Thank you for coming in. Look, it's really important that we do hear all views, so I really appreciate you coming in and giving us your time.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, Susan Thorpe will also speak to us on climate matters. Susan here? Yes. Good morning and welcome.
I have put in a presentation which has quite a lot of information. I'm only going to read page 6, 7 and 8, which I did advise the coordinator to tell you. Christchurch's heritage is in jeopardy. Christchurch is a city at the bottom of the world, but founded on outstanding ethics and Christian faith, as its name announces. The founders came direct from the Oxford Group and the anti-slavery Wilberforce movement, and brought with them scholastic rigour and the advanced engineering and sciences of the day. My complacency climate change regulations was shattered by the infringement of an ugly temporary cycle lane which dissected the gracious proportions of Park Terrace, and this was the catalyst which forced me to wake up and come to the rescue of the city to which I owe so much, with everything at my disposal. It turns out that the bland euphemism used for this cycle lane is innovating streets for people, courtesy of the New Zealand Transport Agency. However, it is good that the CCC planners made their stance crystal clear, so as to be left in no doubt of the direction in which our city is being led by the nose in order to comply with United Nations diktats. The epicentre of the effects of this cultural assault is clearly the museum precinct and Rutherford's Den in the former university, because they constitute the very heart of Christchurch's historic intellectual legacy. There are startling parallels with the fairy tale The Emperor's New Clothes and the climate narrative the world is experiencing, as we see ever more ridiculous edicts and statistical noise emanating from United Nations level, in which compliant officials impose upon populations as they work in lockstep with new regulations. People have learned not to question the narrative, otherwise risk either being ridiculed or threatened with job loss. We've seen this principle in operation recently with the public shaming of two politicians who have dared to question climate change mythology. Both were pressured to retract their position. And the swindlers in the fairy tale were laughing all the way to the bank. As always, follow the money, and there's plenty of that sloshing around in today's climate circles. Whether CCC officials sit on the spectrum, wherever CCC officials sit on the spectrum, whether they trustingly believe the rhetoric as have most of us at one time or other, or whether they felt powerless to question anything, the prerequisite now upon assessing the impeccable science which I've made available to you today from scientists and engineers with distinguished reputations is to acknowledge and correct falsely premised climate policy in order that society as a whole can reclaim common sense and the very integrity of science itself, which latter has clearly been severely damaged by the climate delusion. We, the people of Christchurch, led by that great body, the Christchurch City Council, will emerge stronger from resolutely reclaiming the integrity, the wealth and... of scientific discipline in this city, as demonstrated by Canterbury's most famous son, Lord Ernest Rutherford. Christchurch was not a city founded on deception or falsification of scientific data. So what do we do about it? Just like the child in the fairy tale who innocently told the truth, I ask you to consider that Christchurch is eminently qualified to be the first city in the world to totally renounce the false climate narrative. The emperor has no clothes thus becomes there is no climate emergency. From the hallowed halls of the physics lecture room near Rutherford's Den, Canterbury University College produced arguably the top physics student on the planet. The science Rutherford used was rock solid and meticulously accurate. In Christchurch we truly stand on the shoulders of giants. How symbolic if Christchurch were to give the world another gift, which is the exact opposite, but could be argued, of similar scale and significance. Christchurch is in the unique position by starting a cascade of downstream effects to rid the world of a scientific delusion so gargantuan, so destructive, so dishonest, and so inimical to the integrity of the science which Rutherford represented, that we would expect to see an equal and opposite reaction when this happens. Rutherford batted a world-winning game with nuclear physics research. Christchurch cannot, following Rutherford's stratospheric legacy, refuse any longer to allow corrupted science to despoil the very fabric of our city, and from these shores return to sender the fake and corrosive climate hypothesis from whence it came. But we will need to hold tight to our love for this city, because we can expect the consequent reaction on the world stage to be major.
Susan, can you wind up, please, because your time is up?
Yes, I'll just read the last paragraph. Yep. The definitive research. Some of the New Zealand scientists and engineers whose work I've quoted may be persuaded to speak either in person or electronically to a session of the Council, so that councils may benefit from hearing direct from these reliable and honest voices accurate, peer-reviewed climate science which stand up to scrutiny. It would be difficult to imagine a more urgent matter in the scheme of things, with what such mind-boggling debt hanging over our collective heads like the sword of Damocles. And I'll read out the names of those climate realists.
We have them in front of us. Thank you very much for coming in. Tyler, I know that you had a question, but we really are out of time, Tyler, so I apologise for that. Perhaps you can get Susan's email and forward her a question by email, but thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We do respect all views here, so I really appreciate you having the courage to come and talk to us. I'd like to invite Graham Pollock, please. He's going to speak to us regarding the notice of motion.
By the way, I lived on Park Terrace for 20 years.
Lovely. Very lucky. Welcome, Graham.
Kia ora tātou. I'm grateful to the Mayor for the invitation to speak today regarding the Northwest Arc Cycleway running along Aorangi Road from Island Road to Clyde Road and through to Brookside Terrace. Our representation is not in opposition to the cycleway. In fact, we have been supportive of a cycleway. Rather, our concern is the design of the cycleway chosen. The community is seeking a change to the design that was initially accepted. All households, thanks to the Mayor, every one of them, have been visited along Aorangi Road from Truman Road through to Brookside Terrace, and 100%, every single one of them, has signed a request seeking a change from what was planned, the option A, using the road and removing all the parking for the cycleway, moving that option to option B, using the 5 metre wide berm for the cycleway and retaining the parking. That berm is the widest berm in any suburban street in Christchurch, other than Park Terrace. Not just the 100% of the people that live along Aorangi Road seek this change to option B. Option B was endorsed by the community board as its preferred option. The community board has that as its preferred option. Further along Aorangi Road, there are churches, St Aidan's New Generation Church, with hundreds of people involved, not just on Sundays, but during the week. These churches are significant social service providers. Craft groups, breakfast clubs, food banks, numerous community events and outreach, social and emergency housing, and they have the same concerns as the wider community has about the removal of parking that will occur under option A. Access to facilities are important for the elderly. Wheelchairs, walkers, carrying their sewing machines to craft groups, for young families with their buggies and pushchairs. And the removing of the parking as an option A will cut these people off from ready access to these activities. A change in the plan was made from option A to option B, from Island Road to Truman Road, for the very reasons outlined: accessibility. But the option A was carried on from Truman Road through to Clyde Road and Brookside Terrace. The community is asking for you to take heed of them and their needs, in much the same way that, as a council, you ask central government to take heed of your needs. And they are asking that you listen to them. Now, there may be some concerns. Some of the statements are about the removal of the silver birches, who are lifting the roots, their roots are lifting the pavement, the catkins falling and blocking drains, etc. There may be a question about costs, but are costs at the expense of accessibility and quality of life and environment? And changes are happening. The extensive redevelopment along Aorangi Road, 34 new Kia ora units where there were 10 houses previously, and very, very significant developments planned. So the narrowing of the road and taking away any of the parking is totally unhelpful. So 100% of those living along Aorangi Road, the social services organisations serving the community in the city and the community board are saying, we are not opposed to the cycleway, Rather, we want our needs and views taken into consideration as people on the ground. The council team, when preparing its report around that cycleway, wrote, and I quote, "The breakdown of where people live shows that option B is most preferred for relevant organisations and those living along the section of the route."
We've got 20 seconds left.
That finding was sidelined when recommendations were made, and we are asking that the concerns of the people are listened to and not sidelined again, and we hear there is an opportunity to support this community. I'm happy to respond to any questions, but I hope today that this meeting will, in keeping with your work on the strategic plan strategy of finding out what matters most, that you will see that what matters to 100% of the people along Aorangi Road and this community and the services there want to seek a change in option. And that the motion that is being tabled today, that is received in that light. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. That was an excellent public forum, an excellently presented view of yours, and thank you very much for coming in and taking the time to do that.
Thank you.
There's no time for questions, I'm sorry, so we'll go to the next public forum, which is David Lynch. Welcome.
I'm waiting for the mayor to specifically be presented.
The mayor is probably not in for another half an hour, I would say. And so public forum will be over by then. Oh, yay. Timing. No, too late. You're here. We just got to the David Lynch. You've got your the last public forum.
I spoke slower because I could do. Right, where are we, mate?
We're David Lynch.
Okay.
Good morning. I've already had a test run with the mayor on this, and unfortunately the media weren't here, and so we thought this was such an important cause today that would come back with the blessing of the mayor, and the mayor's kindly said to me that he would consider suspending standing orders if I go over time. I've got it on tape, but don't worry. And hopefully it's a joke, Mr. Mayor, but this is a very important cause, and I just hope that you guys will understand why I'm here today. I do have a handout for you all. I don't know who wants to. Could you get those to the media desk? Thank you. Right. Well, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to present to you, and for the liberty of having a little bit of an extension if that's possible. As you know, my name is David Lynch, and I'm a Director of Momentous Public Relations. Some of you may not be aware that over the past 25 years, I have dedicated pro bono advice and support to various patients and to various health organisations to give up my time to help patients and health individuals achieve their communication advocacy goals, which has included things like raising awareness about specific health issues, advocating for policy changes, and supporting patients in their healthcare journeys. It hasn't always been easy when patients leave the hospital, and that's where, from a PR perspective and with others, we can give some support. Some of the things that we've done over the last few years is promoting advice to a burns unit from Hawke's Bay. We've advocated for a woman from Cust who had 10 visits to the hospital to have a twisted bowel cleared out because the operation was kept being put off. And with a little bit of media, the operation happened within a few days of the media. We've arranged with the Mayor for a briefing by Professor Frank Frizzell in respect of the wider health issues affecting not just the city but New Zealand as a whole. We've extended guidance to many patients at the spinal unit at Burwood Hospital, and some of you may be aware of our advocacy in respect to Professor Manal Kazi, speaking for the City Families Group over the 115 lives lost at that day in February 2011. Momentus PR supports the Blue September Prostate Cancer Awareness Campaign, and what I'd like to do now is to maybe Mr Mayor and with the Deputy Mayor, you might open this little gift up.
No, this is political.
I've got lots of people if you like for them.
A picture of snow during the day.
What we felt was important was, as a city council, although a lot has changed in health in the city with the government's decision to restructure our health boards, you as a council do play a vital role as advocates. And we believe that prostate cancer is something that you all can support in one way or the other. And that's why we've said major support for prostate cancer. Blue September is the awareness fund campaigning period. And it's aimed at directly eliminating deaths and to address those suffering from prostate cancer, which in fact kills more people than, sadly, breast cancer. I've chosen to contact the Mayor, along with clients and individual groups, simply saying through your Facebook, we have a banner that we can send you electronically and you can place it on your Facebooks and it takes you directly to allow people on your Facebook to donate directly if you wish. If nothing else, with the followings that you will have on Facebook, I think you're going to help achieve getting this message out there. So my aim is to share with everyone, including the Mayor, the important message of this cancer awareness. So a little bit about prostate cancer, and I quote Dr. Stephen Marks, a leading urologist. He says, prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in New Zealand. 4,000 men diagnosed per year and over 800 deaths attributed. Also, prostate cancer is the most expensive cancer for the healthcare system. Over 10,000 men per year are sent for specialist assessments and diagnosis to specialist urologists, and it goes on. I'll leave you to read the rest of the quote. So what are the opportunities for the Mayor? Well, he's already, in fact, done that for me, and that sign now has gone out on the World Wide Web, and people around the world will know that Mayor Phil Major is supporting prostate cancer. So thank you for that, Phil. But as I've said, local government has a unique position to address the specific needs in their communities, and it plays a vital role, not just with prostate cancer, but with so many other things, to take that role and be a strong voice and to not be afraid of government. Never be afraid of government. We've got the banner. We're also happy to make available to all councillors an electronic version of that you can place on your Facebook sites. But here's the great challenge today. Businesses have already come to me, and a number have said to me, we will find a way of donating. And one of them, by the name of Tunnel Car Wash, has agreed to donate $1,000 to the Start the Foundation funding from Christchurch, from this effort, if the Mayor will turn up with that banner and wearing this hat. And we have got a skirt for you and these other things, but actually they're more for the Deputy Mayor. We would like to challenge you, Mr Mayor, that this is one business that's prepared to donate $1,000. We think that at the end of 4 weeks, there's absolutely no reason with your charisma, your connections, and with the support of all your colleagues here, that this council can't make, or not make directly, but through the support, make a $10,000, if not more, donation to this very, very important cause. So that's the challenge for you, and I'm happy to work with you on that. Finally, as I conclude, Tunnel Wash is the name of the company, and I'm sure others will be very happy to jump in behind that. In conclusion, what I'd like to suggest to you is we would like to do a group photo, not just with the male councillors here today, but with the female councillors, because like any cancer, prostate cancer doesn't just affect a male, it affects a family. And I'm hoping that at the conclusion of this, you will all be agreeable to, we've got some blue ribbon, we've got a little few props here, we can have some fun and get a message out there as a starting point. And I'd like to close, before perhaps inviting you, Mr. Mayor, if you wish to respond to any of this, with this quote that I wrote last night in thinking about this, and thinking about a dear friend who died of prostate cancer, and so I've chosen to wear this tie today in respect of him. And here is my quote. "Strength is not the absence of fear, but the courage to face it head on. We are stronger than fear, and with each day, and with the right attitude, we have the potential to be one step closer to victory." Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. It certainly resonates with me because I've had a couple of friends who have run into this problem. So I'm more than happy to go to tunnel wash and wear any kind of clothes you want.
Great.
Okay, so did you want to have all of us as
It would be lovely if everyone, so we're going to interrupt your proceedings just to get a photo. The press has got a photographer here? No? Is there I did ask if a staff photographer could be here and that photo could then be submitted to the press. Is there a staff photographer available at short notice? Could someone take a photo on an iPhone and maybe that would do? Okay, well look, why don't we set up a photo at the front there?
This is a very good call, Scott.
Now, Phil, this hat, it lights up.
My day just gets...
And?
Oh, no, but when you keep
There's a wig for you to wear. Good. Pauline. Where's Pauline? And guys, just hold on.
Come on. Sam, come, you've got to see it on.
You hold on to the banner and I'll drop these off to you later on. Pauline, thank you guys. I'll keep the cap on. You've got to keep the cap on for the meeting.
You could have worn those.
Take them.
These are better than your chains, Phil. I'd swap them if I was you.
And Pauline, I've got a wig for you. Do you want to wear the wig now? There's a wig for you to wear now, by all means, with glasses.
Okay.
We'll talk later. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
That sign is in a perfect spot for that live stream. It's awesome.
Oh, Pauline, that's the dress for you to wear as well. Thank you.
Right, we're now, while David's doing that, we've got deputations by appointment. I'd now like to welcome Simon Kingan to the table, who will speak on regarding item 21. Foster Street. Welcome, Simon.
Hi, well, I feel it's a bit unfair following David, isn't it? Because I've got no banners or streamers or
Would you like some balloons? Something blue to wear?
Maybe I should have some balloons. Or anything quite so emotive as yours, so that was great. Yeah, my name's Simon Kingham. I think I know all of you. I've been here before. Just a reminder, I'm a professor of geography at the university. I teach on transport and related issues. And I'm also the Ministry of Transport Chief Science Advisor, so I advise the Ministry on transport-related policy. I want to talk today about Gloucester Street and maybe make an impassioned plea that maybe it might be a good thing to try, and I'll try and explain why. I just want to explain what tactical urbanism is, and I think some of you will know and some of you may be slightly unclear, but it is an approach to developing low-cost, scalable interventions and policies. It is a bit like trying something before you buy it. It's like having a trial run of something. There are 5 characteristics. This is an established definition or description of them. It says it's a deliberative, phased approach to instigating change. You have local solutions for local planning challenges. The idea is you have a short-term commitment, so you try something for a short term before you then go into longer-term change. It's low risk, but with potentially high rewards. And it develops social capital between public and private institutions, non-profits, constituents, etc. So they're kind of 5 characteristics of the sort of thing we're talking about in Gloucester Street. Some of you may know that on the 21st of August this year, the Reshaping Streets became a rule. So it was in the Land Transport Rule Street Layouts 2023. It makes doing street pilots easier. It talks about enabling councils to pilot, make short-term changes to streets, to test different street layouts. And it allows communities to experience these changes in real time and provide feedback. And I think that's a really important part of it. And I'll come on to that in a minute. It allows communities to be more involved in the process of changing their streets and for continual improvement of the design while it's in place. And it provides councils the ability to consult while the pilot is in place. And I will touch on why that's important next. One of the big things we're very good at in New Zealand and in Christchurch is consulting with people and engaging with people on things. But probably one of the problems, and I think it's globally recognised, is that people kind of don't like change, and they particularly don't like something that's a bit different and new and they can't imagine. And so sometimes when we put a plan out, people object to it just because it's different and they kind of don't understand it. And what these Reshaping Streets approaches allow, or tactical urbanism allows communities to experience changes and then provide feedback. And often we know when you do that, people actually think, actually, that wasn't that bad, quite liked it. And beforehand, when you describe it, they don't get it and they don't understand it. And increasingly, we're seeing globally this is a better way of engaging. So actually trialing stuff and seeing what happens is better. And it's kind of the new way of doing it. So we don't do full consultation before we try something. We try something that's temporary. We see what happens, and then we get people's feedback. And I think the new rule says maximum 2 years, so it's actually got a fixed time frame within there for this. The other thing I just want to explain is that this sort of stuff isn't novel. We're not trying something that no one else in the world has tried in terms of reshaping streets and making streets look a bit different. I'm just going to show you some quick examples. Rio de Janeiro, there's loads of them, by the way, and you can find all these online. I think you've got all these. They've changed the street there very significantly, you can see, from 2010 to 22. Amsterdam, significant changes there, the same bit of street, what they've done. New York City has transformed the city. For anyone who went there 10, 15 years ago to what you see today, it's quite transformed. It really was a city full of cars in the middle, and now it's a city full of people doing more interesting things. Another one of New York City, another one of New York City. So New York City has really held up. And we're not like New York City. Let's accept that. We are a different sort of city, but perhaps we're more like Buenos Aires. So we're not. It's not just Europe and it's not just New York that's doing this stuff. Perhaps we're more like Bucharest. They've been doing some interesting things as well. Dare I say, are we actually a bit like Auckland? You know, Auckland's tried it with Fort Street. They've actually taken traffic out and they haven't taken traffic totally out. They've just slowed traffic down. So you can still drive down Fort Street, but it's just calmed and it's meant to look like a place for people. So cars can still access, there's no problem. They obviously access a bit slower because it's designed for people. Even Hamilton has tried it. That's actually an underground car park that's been transformed into a place that looks like a place that we want people to be. Even Hamilton. And dare I say, even Christchurch. So do anyone remember this? You know, we don't want to go back to what it was before. Yeah, so that's, you know, that's what it looked like before, that's what it looks like now. So we have got precedents where and nobody would want to go back to the one on the left. And so I think we actually have good examples of what we can do. You know, with the Riverside Market is a good one, but Hamilton, Auckland, other places, as well as other places in the world. And sometimes just, if you'd said to people, we're going to change outside Riverside before, I think people would have said, well, we can't do that. We need to access stuff in our car. And actually, we've got something really, really exciting. Yeah. Just some final comments. The Streets for People, and Gloucester Street is part of that, and it's now rebranded as Reshaping Streets, allows communities to experience these changes in real time and provide feedback. And we know that when people experience stuff, it is different. It allows people to be more involved, and I think that's a really important part of it. Christchurch is a great city to live in. I think we've actually got a reputation for innovation. We've had things like gap filler and life in vacant spaces and greening the rubble. So we've actually got lots of examples of innovation. And I'd say let's keep going. Let's keep trying. Let's try interesting, progressive, people-focused tactical urbanism projects because they work and they work around the world. And if we don't like it, we can take it out and go back to what we had before. So this is my final quote. One of my favourite planning quotes is, if you plan cities for cars and traffic, you get cars and traffic. If you plan for people and places, you get people and places. And that's an American planner called Fred Kent. So that's all I've got. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Simon. I've got 3 questions. Sarah, please, and then Andre.
Thanks for that, Simon. Hey, one of the reasons that's been put up for not doing it at the moment is the disruption for the court theatre build down one end of the section. Do you think that there's still value in doing the trial maybe for the rest of the street that isn't directly outside the build?
Yeah. I think it's always worth trying, especially on that street, because you've actually got the Isaac Theatre, the piano, the library and other things. So it is the perfect street. I'd absolutely try it.
Yeah. And with the other Streets for Projects, Streets for People projects that you've seen and been involved in and those kind of things, is it normal practice to do them for a short time and trial and collect data and then put them in for longer? I mean, that's not how we did Ferry Road. Ferry Road, we just kind of put it in for a year rather than just for 10 weeks.
Yeah, no, normally you'd put them in for longer than 10 weeks. I think that would be the ideal. But what the idea is that often they become permanent because people quite like them. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's answering your question, but the idea is that people actually go, this is actually okay. They can come out, and they do come out, but quite often people try stuff and actually go, this is actually okay, I like it, let's keep it. But they can't imagine it beforehand.
Thanks.
Andre?
Thank you. Yeah, just looking at the examples that you've shown, and we've been continually told recently that we can't possibly have things like outdoor dining because of an easterly wind. We used to have outdoor dining pre-earthquakes. Most cities in the world that are colder than us still have outdoor dining. Have we become just too bloody soft?
I think, of course you can. And most of us sit outside in the garden sometimes in the easterly. The easterly doesn't happen all the time as well. It happens some of the time. You can put things up to protect the wind from certain directions. I think it's probably just an excuse for people who don't want it, I suspect.
Mark, please.
Thank you. Sarah kind of touched a bit on my question here. With the significant change that Gloucester Street is going through right now and is likely to go through in the coming years, do you think there is value in going ahead and doing a trial right now?
I think it's always worth trying things, actually, Mark. Yeah. I think it's always worth trialling stuff, especially as the money's... And I mean, I work for the Ministry of Transport, right, and this is Wakatahi money. It's not our money, so it's not like the risk is us. They want it to go ahead. They know what's happening. I'd say always try stuff if we can. And sometimes when you're disrupting streets, it's a good time to try things anyway, because there's already disruption. It's a bit different.
Cool. Thank you.
I'd say don't be cautious sometimes.
Yeah. And lastly, Yanni, please.
Thank you for the deputation. I just wondered how you would prioritise spending the money on a trial in a street that's having, significant disruption in a very short time frame to areas that may have a greater need, particularly around like schools that have been redeveloped in Aranui or newly built, or other places in Phillipstown which have been crying out for safe pedestrian crossings that don't have anything. So how would you use an equity lens to look at this significant investment for a very short time versus the same investment being able to be put to other places where it could have a greater duration and would deal with more, immediate needs that where people, children in particular, don't have anything?
I totally get where you're coming, Yanni, and I did a study at Hayata College about 5 years ago, and it was related to this, and there's a crying need for stuff there, and I think they've got a Reshaping Streets project out there as well, which is great. I suppose in this case, you're right, if we could prioritise, but it's not like we can use this money for something else. So I totally get where you're coming from. We should be doing more stuff. My daughter's just moved to Phillipstown. I'd love some more stuff out there if that's possible. Put some trees on that big open park as well, because it's terrible. But this isn't an either or, is it? It's not like you can take that money. I don't think you can take the Reshaping Streets money and give it somewhere else. But
sorry, I can't respond to that. Maybe someone else can.
I know. Then maybe, but I still think we want to do interesting things in the central city. That's where a lot of people are going. But we should be trying to do both. Yeah, we should be trying to do both. I totally understand where you're coming from, though.
Yep. Thank you very much. Very clear. Thank you. Okie dokie. Now we have watch a video deputation from Florence Sargent regarding the same item. There we go.
going to tell you.
Go.
Hello, my name is Florence and I live and go to school in the central city. I found out that you might not do a cool project for Gloucester Street. So I am going to tell you why you should. I use Gloucester Street to go to the library because my school doesn't have a library. We walk along Gloucester Street to visit Tauranga. It's a bit of a boring walk along that part, except for the art on the walls. That's very cool. I love street art. Crossing the road can be harder on a two-way street, especially with cars parked everywhere. One-way streets mean I only have to look one way to work out when it's safe to cross. Also, slower traffic means it's safer for me too. Gloucester Street is also amazing as I go to the theatre. The Christmas pantomime is the best. But after all the shows, there isn't enough space for everyone to walk home. We need bigger footpaths like Manchester Street has. Gloucester Street is also the way to get to New Regent Street. I get the best ice creams there, and it can be busy with the tram as well, and then the playground is not far away. So Gloucester Street joins the library and the playground with an ice cream on the way. This is perfect for me. You can make the street get a fun makeover in time for summer, and you've done this before really fast. I would love to have safe places to cross, more space for walking, planters, seats and places to perform in. I also found out you got over $1 million to do this. Wow. And this money didn't come from you, so you got given it, right? So why don't you do this? I want to be proud of my city for doing cool things, and you have done things like this before, so I stopped. Who would want to stop fun things from happening? The city should be fun. It should be colourful with lots of things to do, and be safe for people to walk around and hang out. I want to tell everyone that my neighbourhood is the best place to be. We have the best library, the best playground, the best park, and hopefully a pool soon. Let's link them all up with a cool street and make everyone want to come and check out. So councillors, I hope you make a decision that benefits all of us. So say yes and spend the money you got given to make Gloucester Street really cool. Thank you for listening to me.
Don't we all wish they were that young and innocent, lovely. They were good times. Okay, so that's very good, very good. Okay, so we move on to item 4, presentation of petitions. We have none.